Chad calling her stupid when she's successfully faking transparency in a way the Democrats never could. Yeah, I guess I just feel a little bit uncomfortable lambasting her for a lack of intelligence when so far she's doing a better job than any Democrat I've ever seen up here, or anyone, actually. I mean, the job of the press secretary is to be transparent and to promote the administration. Now, no press secretary has actually been transparent because every president has been a lying piece of shit, at least in my lifetime. Psaki was good? No, she wasn't. She is, however, phenomenal at lauding the administration. So if there are two goals that you're trying to achieve, no one's done one of them. She's doing this one better than anyone else, by far. So it's kind of hard to rate her laundering questions with her laundering abilities when the questions are vetted. Hey man, look, just to be clear, like in a glorious socialist presidency, I also think that fucking OAN dipshit should be kicked out of the press corps, you know? It was always like a fault. Like the problem is the Democrats have nothing to stand by. Republicans can stand by evil, so they defend evil. They have something to defend, something to talk about. We keep that quiet? No, we don't. Well, you should let any random retard into the press corps? What, just because somebody gets press credentials just because, like, they have, what's Alex Jones be there? No, fuck that. Absolutely not. Democrats have never been strong enough when it comes to defending their administrations, largely because they have nothing to really defend. I mean, I admit they could have been a lot more militant about stuff like COVID protections or the Inflation Reduction Act. Like, there are a lot of things that Democrats could have been more militant on. But overall, like, what are you going to be militant on if you're defending Biden's administration? Like, what are you going to go up there as a press secretary, plant your feet in the ground for, and go like, no, actually, we're not moving from this. This is the line we draw. Like, on what? You're not doing shit, you know? Yeah, though I will admit it would be nice if you were a Democratic press secretary to have left-leaning news media tee you up like this. You know what I mean? Like, that would be nice. And you could do that, by the way, by investing in media. You know, Democrats spend billions on ad reads. They don't invest meaningfully in, like, building a, you know, decentralized news network. I'm just saying you need to identify, like, how this is happening. Because I think a lot of liberals, they just roll their eyes and they're like, they're lying. It's like, yeah, they are lying. But they're also, like, building and maintaining a very sophisticated network of propaganda distribution. They're very consistent and very disciplined in their messaging. Like the fact that every Republican always knows what the line of the president is. The fact that Trump is basically on video like 3 hours a day, which Biden could never manage, even though they're the same age, basically. Like, there's a lot going on here that people should be taking notes from. It's just unfortunate because, like, at the end of the day, if you're a fascist, you know, you get the corporate backing to be the strongest version of yourself. And if you're a leftist, you don't. So it's sophisticated if you're uneducated. You misunderstand me. I'm not saying it's sophisticated in that the lies are sophisticated. I'm saying the network control they've maintained is sophisticated, which is true. I don't know if you've noticed, but they own everything. Everything. We get neutral messaging from AP and Reuters. No one watches or cares about MSNBC, but everything to the right of that, New York Times, CNN, whatever, everything to the right, blitzed in far-right collaborationism, in centrists, or people masquerading as centrists, who work for them, who write their articles, who edit for them, capital interests, like on all sides, independent media, like Joe Rogan, Theo Vaughn, whatever the fuck, incorporated, paid off, fully compliant with the administration. Like, we're talking about Vaush, I have no idea why you think this is anything other than a lame-ass regurgitation of the same nonsense over and over. Honestly, it just might be going over your head a little bit. Like, basically, you are being fooled by fake simplicity. Like, you are looking at a expertly crafted children's toy, and you're saying, this is for kids, so it's stupid. But you don't understand how much thought has gone into it. You know? You're watching Coco Melon, and you're like, this is like for tiny baby brains, not for me, which is true. But Coco Melon was created by like a team of behavioral scientists, and designed very intelligently to captivate young people in the way that it has. You have to understand like the machinery. Like you think you're smarter than them because you don't fall for the lies. Okay, but if you're so smart, why are they winning? Why, if you're so smart, why have they created the media engine that won over the public? Oh boy, Vaush has dug himself into a stupid point again. I genuinely don't understand what the, like, reflexive snarkiness is. I know that it's a difficult time to feel disempowered. I don't know why you're taking out on me. Isn't there, like, a dog you'd rather be kicking? I don't get it. I don't understand. Basically, what I'm saying is that I'm a birthday boy and I'm wearing glasses, and I don't understand why you're treating me this way. You're resistant to the point because you don't want to acknowledge that this infuriating woman has won and you have lost. And I have lost. But I have strength of character. I can acknowledge that as much as it hurts. You can't. You have to delude yourself into thinking that this is all happenstance. And it's one of the reasons why liberals don't win. Because they see stuff like this and they go, oh, people are just stupid. There's nothing for me to learn here. I have nothing to learn from the overwhelming victory of the opposition. Vaush, no, anyone can lie effortlessly. This isn't some masterclass. Kid Engine, respectfully, you might actually just be too stupid to understand the point. And I don't think that's like an innate thing. I think you can learn out of it. I would like to believe it's just you being reflexively defiant. Like you just don't like the idea that you've misunderstood the point. So you're being kind of belligerent about it. This isn't a matter of, like, you really think that's what this is? This entire victory of the right-wing media apparatus is just one person lying effortlessly? You have to listen to what I'm saying, man. Like, you can't, the right wins because Americans are stupid. Americans aren't any more or less stupid than people of any other country. Do you know how bad the political dynamic is right now in France, Germany, Italy, Greece, Romania, Hungary? Do you have any idea? What about the Russians? Is just everyone on Earth just? I mean, I guess everyone is stupid if you want to do it in the kind of like you know, misanthropic, like, oh haha. But you have to admit then you're stupid as well. I'll take the bullet. I'll say I'm stupid. You know. Basically, what I'm saying is that I want you guys to understand why we lost so that we can be better in the future. And if you're looking for cope, like, oh, Americans are just stupid, or oh, they're just lying, that's not impressive, you're not learning the lesson and you're going to lose again. That's the problem I have. This isn't like a humiliation ritual. This isn't about like everyone feel bad. I know you're personally not responsible for what's happening right now, but you have to acknowledge why it's happening. Total media control. Very impressive. Definitely helps when the capital class is not innately hostile towards your goals. You can't just call them evil. You have to know what makes them tick. Yeah, Americans are stupider because of material conditions. I'm so sorry. I know that like I know people like strong contrast. So they like to oscillate between performative American supremacy and performative American diabolism. The truth is that people everywhere are basically all the same. And if you think the average American is less politically educated than the average person in the Balkans or Central Europe or Africa or Central Asia or Iran, you're just, I'm sorry, man. At the end of the day, we've got the same goop up here. Circumstances kind of push and pull us in different directions. And I will say that Americans are more sloppish and pig fat than other people, whatever that means to you. But we're pretty much all the same. You gotta get over that. We're louder. I'll say that. We aren't even louder, lol. Well, it depends on what you're comparing us to, I guess. But, you know, isn't that a little bit liberating? To recognize that it's not about any group of people having an innate disposition towards political uneducation, but rather that we're all essentially the same, and it's really just, you know, like different circumstances pushing and pulling. I would say the thing that makes America distinct is that there's more capital in this country than anywhere else. There's no country in the world that has as much money circulating. So because there's so much money circulating, so much like venture capital, so much investment, so much yada, 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 I think that that leads to specific kinds of brain damage caused by very like profit driven sort of like conditions or pushes or whatever, you know, by material conditions. Well, I'm trying to find a way to say it without saying the same two words over and over, but yeah. The stupidity of Greek politics would make your head spin. Americans are the same as us. They lack community ties in a lot of places, though. That's true. We are less community driven, for sure. At least white Americans, for sure. But for sure, yeah, Richard Henney, 100%. I agree. Yeah, like I get glimpses every once in a while of what things are like in like Romania, and it's like, oh my God, for a moment, like the difference in America is that the stakes are higher, like way higher in America than they are in Romania because we're America. But if you like took the average Romanian and made 330 million of them and replaced all of America with them, I don't think that people would suddenly be acting more politically educated. I think that you might see the opposite pattern, actually. Not innately, not for any innate reason, but just because, like, you know, Different circumstances. You're comparing us with Romania? Well, Romania has human beings in it, and America has human beings in it. So since I'm making the point that we're not innately stupider than other countries, and that we're all basically the same, like a fundamental sense, I feel we're kind of doing a human by human comparison. Do you want me to choose like Mongolia or Turkmenistan? I could do either. I don't know as much about Mongolian politics, though. I think they're just chilling. I think in Mongolia, they're actually just chilling. I could be wrong on that, though. Anyway, it's the point that I made, you know. You are less educated than the French, for example, though no. You mean me specifically, or like Americans? I don't know, maybe. But like, I imagine that the average Ugandan is probably less educated than the average American. But I would say that if you like shook the dust off anyone from any country and you were like, hey, listen, here's a new country with new politics, I think that people are generally going to be like pretty fucking stupid. I think people have the potential to be really intelligent when they're kind of like organized through a collective labor movement. Like, I think that some of the most politically educated proletariat you would have ever seen would have been in the Soviet bloc countries back in the 1950s and 60s, or in countries affiliated with them. I bet you the average Cuban in like 1973 could dog walk the average American today in terms of just understanding what's going on. And that's because as bad as the Soviet states and their affiliates were, they were very, in some respects, very good at providing a kind of political education that I think is a lot more instructive than the ones that we give today. Material conditions, et cetera, et cetera. Not a defense of the Soviet Union, but there were, I think, and you can see this, by the way, because you can see grainy old, like, videos or documentaries of Soviet exchange students who are, like, talking about political education, and at the same time that the most radical thing you saw in American universities was hippies burning their bras and, like, doing LSD or whatever, you had, like, Soviet students, who dressed better, by the way, who were, like, laying out thorough critiques of, you know, the capitalist superstructure. And, you know, I think basically it's just a matter of, like, building a system that kind of provides that political education. The stuff I learned in my high school American government class would not be able to account for what's happening now. I think that's a really good way of thinking about it, actually. I think that if you're provided a basic Marxist education, what's happening in the United States now is comprehensible. Difficult to grapple with. Scary, but comprehensible. Whereas the typical liberal-oriented education that you get of, like, the American political, like, you know, we're founded on liberty and justice, and the founding fathers gave us the Constitution and civics and so on and so forth. All of this is just incomprehensible. It makes no sense. And I think that's one of the reasons why people defer to these, like, lazy responses of, like, oh, well, people are just stupid and that's why it fell apart. And it's like, well, you know, I think the average American was probably stupider back in, like, 1802 when women couldn't vote, slavery, Jim Crow later, so on and so forth. Like, I think probably today people are on smarter average, and the IQ scores back me up on that one. So why are things changing? It's not that people are getting stupider, they're getting smarter, and that's a fact, a verifiable fact, the Flynn effect. So why this? Well, it doesn't have much to do with stupidity, to be honest with you. Well, IQ is not a real indicator of intelligence. I don't know, guys, you don't need to fall on the sword like this. You know IQ is real, right? It doesn't measure general intelligence or innate intelligence, but it's a thing. I don't know why. Like, this would be like somebody saying, like, the average number of push-ups people can do has been going down over time, and people are like, well, that's not that push-ups aren't indicative of physical fitness. And it's like, I mean, they are. They're not entirely indicative. Like, there's still other muscles that you'd have to train. but that, you know, there is an association. You can study for an IQ test, though. Yeah, that's why I said it's not a measure of innate intelligence. Vaush, please, let's not do this. Please don't die on this hill. Why are you you're so annoying? Why do you talk like that? Who trained you to talk? You don't talk like that in your day-to-day life, right? Where, like, somebody says something to you that you disagree with, and you're like, bro, please, don't do this. Like, why are you so fucking patronizing? You taught us? Dad, I learned it from you.